Elevators are an integral part of society in many different ways. If we didn't have elevators, there would be a mass disadvantage to disabled people. For these disabled people, in order to get to another floor, they need to use some sort of elevator, either whether it be an escalator, whether it be a stair lift, chair lift, or a regular elevator, a cab car. However, elevators are not specifically for disabled people. There are also specially made elevators to allow for freight to be moved up to another floor, or just any item that cannot be lifted normally into the stairwells. So this allows people and companies to move items from floor to floor with ease. These elevators are an integral part of society today. The reason why I'm going into the elevator industry as a mechanic is not only because a lot of my family works in the elevator industry, but also it feels so nice going to people's homes and installing personal elevators and chair lifts so they can get around their homes easier, and it makes their life a whole lot easier. However, today I've decided to research the darker side of elevators, because the number of deaths by elevators and the stigma behind, I'm going to die in an elevator when it suddenly stops, is unneeded, and it is very, very rare for a fatality/injury to happen in an elevator. I prove this point on my poster by listing the amount of safety improvements to elevators, such as emergency battery, like an emergency battery that sits on top of the elevator that provides power for the elevator just in case a power outage. Also, a telephone, again, well, not in the event of a power outage, but the battery would power it, but it allows for somebody to call through a landline phone to help, because in an elevator shaft, you may have noticed there's no data, you can't get any Wi-Fi, no service in there, so they need a landline telephone in there to call for help just in case they need it. Also, an infrared light gate allows people to get in, and just in case they leave something in front of the door, or they're in front of the door, the elevator won't go until that appendage or item is moved out of the way of the door closing. So that's an amazing safety feature, so people don't get hurt like that. Lastly, I listed safety brakes. These brakes lie on the actual rails that the elevator travels down. They're in the corners of the elevator shaft, and just in case for some reason the cable that's pulling it up and pulling the elevator cab down snaps, those brakes will squeeze onto those rails, and they will stop the elevator fully just in case one of the cables breaks. And that is very, very important, because if you don't have the brakes and the elevator cable snaps, then that elevator would go plunging down and there would be no saving it. The graph from the New York personal injury attorneys shows the low but fluctuating amount of fatalities from elevators and escalators, and the number is actually very low. It's in the teens most years, and it shows the rate of change, and it fluctuates from year to year, but generally with the amount of elevators in the US, it's very, very low. Now on the screen is the market size of the elevator industry, and as you can see, it has grown exponentially. It couldn't fit on the iMovie because it's so big, but that's the number of billions of dollars, and that bar graph just goes exponentially up, and it's going to be going up exponentially up. And what I conclude from that is that the number of elevators is also rising with that market size, because you need product to have a market. The conclusion of my research is that the safety of elevators is going up while the fatalities are going down, and they directly correlate. And as long as innovation in the elevator industry goes up, then the less injuries there will be, while their amount of elevators is increasing, which is amazing, because the amount of elevators in the US today is over 900,000, and to only have that many injuries / fatalities in a year, for referring back to the graph, is incredible. It's incredible. Thank you for watching and listening to my presentation. I really hope this increases your confidence in elevators, so anyone who has fears over going in an elevator, of an elevator dropping down the shaft, don't worry. It is literally 1 in a million. I really hope you come away today knowing more about elevators. Thank you.